And it's such a contentious topic, and it's something that, I think a lot of people have been commenting on. And the question is, a landlord refuses to consider people of color for potential tenancy. Is this legal? Cilna, what do you have to say about this?
Sure, Chris. I'm very happy that we are discussing this, because this is actually something that came up last week on one of the property practitioners groups on Facebook. And the agents were obviously stoned for that question. And the thing is, I actually did quite a few training sessions, not trainings, I hopped into a few meetings with agents to discuss this topic. Because what you do as an estate agent, a rental agent, where your landlord says, you can show me applications, but if the applicant is a Black person or an Indian person or whatever the case might be, or a gay couple for that matter, or whatever form of discrimination, I'm not even going to consider it, so don't even try it. What do you do as an estate agent? And I must say that answer for me is very, very simple. I have on multiple occasions in SSLR had clients, potential big clients, and the moment they tell me they're not willing to work with one of our attorneys because they are Black or female or male or whatever the form of discrimination is, I've cancelled mandate immediately with many clients for specifically racism. And I think that's a stance we need to take. As business owners, yes, fair enough. If you tell the landlord, I'm not going to accept your mandate because your requirements for your tenant is based on discrimination and racism, I'm not taking your mandate. Yes, I get that you're going to lose the commission. Okay. I am willing to sacrifice quite a bit of money to actually be able to stand up to my principles. So that's something quite important. And I think the more estate agents and people around South Africa and around the world take this stance to not let money do the talking, but in fact, let principles do the talking, I think that's going to make life a much, much better place. So on a legal answer on that, it's not allowed in any way. The landlord's arguments always, but it's my property, I have freedom to contract. Yes, you have freedom to contract, and we all do. That is a vested right we all have. And you can contract with who you want to, around what you want to, the terms of the agreement, as long as it's obviously not against good morals, you can contract the way you want. But not even getting into good morals when it comes to racism, it's something as simple as reading Section 9 of the Constitution. Section 9.3, Section 9.1 of the Constitution says everybody is equal in front of the law. And that is the truth. And as much as people would like to believe differently, and they always bring up previous precedents, for instance, and the way the courts treat somebody like that, very often it might just be a misunderstanding of how the law works. And for most for most lawyers, we can clearly see that everyone is equal before the law. The fact that people don't necessarily understand the intricacies of the different kinds of things that's happening doesn't mean somebody is not equal in front of the law. So that's Section 9.1. Section 9.3 says no, the state's not allowed to discriminate against anybody on various grounds: race, gender, sexual orientation, pregnancy. I'm actually pulling up way more than I could believe. Religious beliefs, all sorts of different things like that. Not allowed to discriminate. And then Section 9.4 says no person is allowed to discriminate against another on the same grounds as set out in Section 9.3. So on the same grounds, and you can't discriminate against somebody based on the color of their skin or their sexual orientation or their religion or whatever, because it's not the society that we live in. And if you quickly think for a moment, if you think about yourself, just quickly outside of yourself, you will realize there are things in you that might not be sitting comfortable with other people either. So the fact that you think, this bothers me, I wouldn't want a gay couple to stay in my property, or a black person to stay in my property. Okay, cool. But maybe they also don't want somebody living in their property that has characteristics or things or beliefs as you do. And this is why we have this. Section 39 of the Constitution then brings in a balance of rights, and we are allowed to limit some of the rights we have under the Bill of Rights in the Constitution for reasonable reasons. For instance, the moment we start talking about affirmative action, very often the argument is, but why can't I get this job as a white person? Because isn't that discrimination? Yes, but it's fair discrimination, because we need to bring the country back into a place where we can all thrive together and build a better country together. So just because it doesn't sit well and it doesn't suit you doesn't mean there's something wrong with our law. Our law and our Constitution is based on amazing principles of kindness and cohesion and living in a nice, pleasant, multicultural country. And the quicker people get it, and the quicker people start interacting with people of other races and other beliefs and other sexual orientations or whatever, the quicker they realize it's not really so scary, because let's be fair, racism isn't anything other than fear. And I'm willing to say that openly and publicly. And the moment you're willing to face your own fears, I can promise you that that black tenant in your property is going to be exactly the same as any other tenant. So I really would like to encourage landlords to just stop quickly and think. And actually, very importantly, estate agents not to do business with people that doesn't play the game that we should be playing in South Africa.
Sure. Thank you so much for that.
Just something to add to that, which is very interesting, because I've experienced this obviously a lot over the years. So as like most people know by now, so one of my businesses is Intergen, and my business partner is a black male. He's the chartered accountant. But it is so interesting. It does take effort to also make sure that you guys properly understand each like culture and things like that, because we do originate from different cultures, and that's the bottom line. There's certain understandings on how a person engages or interacts, certain things that can be said, can't be said. And I mean, it's surprising enough, it's not even a race thing. So we're finding this even now within white cultures or within black cultures, like a black on black person or white on white person. And you're finding that people that grew up in a certain way will engage with you in a certain way, especially nowadays, like with the youngsters. You're starting to find in the workplace, there's a lot more attitude, there's a lot more a pushback on certain things, whereas back in the past, and like my generation now, like I'm extremely old, so in my generation, like you wouldn't ever see that when it came to an employer. And it just shows it has nothing to do with race. It actually has a lot to do with certain origins, certain understandings of things, certain principles that people live by. But deep down inside, there's commonalities, and it's the people that don't understand those that are typically the ones that are the most racist, because they're scared of trying to understand other people. And those that delve into this and try and understand and make the mistakes and get brought up on it and learn from it, those are typically the guys that realize, hold on, you know what, deep down inside, it's how you say it, but we all think and do the same thing at some point or another.
Thank you so much, guys. Really, really, really appreciate that answer and that advice to estate agents and to landlords and to all of us.